one game I might have my I might have Johnson and Downs, my two cornerbacks, playing cornerback on the 1-1-3, but then Downs is sitting out on the 2-1-2, the two running back set. So I kind of bounce them around. I didn't play any cornerbacks in my dime or nickelback against their multiple receiver sets, his 4-5. It was all linebackers.
Wow. You took a risk, man.
Yep.
You did sell out to stop the run there.
And it worked.
It paid off, 12-6.
It paid off. No.
Let me look at Paris's games.
They're another team like Juggernaut. They just pound the ball.
He is slipping, by the way, since week 8. He's probably pulling his hair out, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yep.
But yeah. See, I guess that's a thrill when you can go into your game plan and change something up, and then you look at the fruits of labor that you did. It must be the best feeling.
Totally.
Yeah. I felt that way last year. Not so much this year. And what's interesting is I didn't really, I didn't change anything. So that part's a little frustrating.
Yeah, it just, and again, some of it is just the randomness of the dice rolls to start the season. It just you get dealt a bad hand and that's it. I think there's an element. There's an element of randomness to this game where every single season I think players randomly are either their skill set drops or increases, but it's not noted on the scouting report.
Well, we went over this with the combine, which I didn't know about, where a player's combine drops. And
I remember talking about that.
Yeah, like my quarterback was a 14 arm strength, and now he's 11. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? I picked him because of his arm strength, besides other things, but that was very important for me.
Yep.
And so that, I guess, Haynes, can be happening to your players where you're saying to yourself, they're the same players. But is their combine scores dropping that you don't know about?
So.
And then you're playing against other players, other teams that added players that are better than they were last time that you played them.
Because my team's the same. I didn't have any major signings at all. I signed a wide receiver, that Joel Schultz. I think his first name's Joel, but Schultz because he's got a huge big play bar, but he's got 0 route running, and he's got 15 receptions. I can't figure out how to get her 7 receptions on 15 targets. I can't figure out how to get the ball to him. He just doesn't get open. So
yeah, but you picked up Robledo, who's run pretty well for you. You drafted him, what?
I drafted him. He's finally starting to play well. Norm Shaver started off as kind of the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year the first time the IHOF postbot posted.
Yeah, he's averaging 5.21 a carry.
Yep.
Shaver.
He had a 2 or 3 those 2 games that I lost. We got away from the ground game, and they shut down Robledo and Shaver, and they got nothing, and that kind of cost him probably the Rookie of the Year. I mean, he had 2 games where he had like 11 carries for 22 yards. It just wasn't good.
Let's see his receiving, because he's got good route running bars.
I have not thrown the ball to him.
Oh, no, you have
Very
not.
much.
Yeah, I see.
This the one thing I got to do next in the off season is I want to put more plays in to the running back again. I took a couple of them out to add in some other run stuff and to do some more goal line plays and some different stuff give me more options out of the the 2-3-0 set and the 2-1, the 1-2-2, no, the 2-2-1 sets.
So there was no big splash that you did in the off season, Howie?
No, nothing. The biggest, I told you, the biggest change I made was getting rid of most of the post routes and changing them into deep routes and getting rid of all of my play action passing.
Gotcha.
I'm not lying. I've had 6 play action passes. If you go through my film room and you kind of go through and say play action pass, you'll say 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 2, 1, 1. Like, I just don't play action anymore.
I'm kind of the same way, Howie. I don't do it very much at all. I used to do it more, but I found that I was getting sacked. Also, what I found was interesting is I'm pretty much the same way about shotgun formations. Dylan tends to get sacked more in shotgun than he does under center, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, most of my stuff's out of the shotgun.
The play action, you are correct about that. I think it was my single player testing. Anytime I did play action, I got sacked the most.
Yep. Now it leads to the potential to a bigger play. So if you've got an offensive line that can block for you, my IHOF bowl run was paved by play action slants to the running back, but I had a great offensive line that could pass block. You know, the cohesion was at 100, and the pass blocking wasn't nearly as abysmal as it is for me now. So I would just play action pass and then run slants to the running back, and I'd get 30, 40 yards a clip off some big plays. But when you don't have the offensive line to block for you, it goes back to that risk reward. You know, is the risk of being sacked 6 times in a game versus the 140-yard play you might get out of it, is it worth it? And to me, I said no. I just got rid of it.
Yeah.
Which I agree with you. Like I told you before, is a positive more than the negatives. By the way, Matt Dillon, Haynes, his sense of rush is terrible.
Yeah, I told you. Yeah, it's and that therein lies, you know, and I can point the finger squarely at myself. Therein lies the problem with my playbook, because I have far too many plays in it where everybody is going out on routes, including my backfield. So it's been too much of a spread type passing offense for what this guy is suited for. And the interesting thing is I've been able to get away with that up until this season. I mean, it worked great last year, as you guys were able to tell. But this year, he's getting sacked left and right.
Rollout quarterbacks, are they better for play action pass because they roll out? Because we're thinking little men in the machine and they're doing that thing. We're not thinking of numbers. Are they better for rollout? And also, should rollout quarterbacks have better end tackle blockers? Because you're rolling out to the ends, to the right tackle, to the left tackle.
This is where it gets to. Are you thinking about real football?
Yes.
And little men, you know, running around inside the game.
No,
but did Jim design the game thinking of that way? Why give these guys rollout, long passing, short passing? Why give that trait to a quarterback if it doesn't mean anything?
Well, it does mean something. It does mean something. Have you read the help file?
I did, but I didn't really get into detail about the long rollout and all that stuff.
I think I have gleaned so much insight from just going through, and you know, if I got a couple of minutes where I've got nothing else to do and I got my computer open in front of me, I'll go into the help file and I'll just start reading things.
Yeah, it's great.
There's so much information there, and the way, you know, from Jim's in that help file, like none of the quarterback archetypes are absolute. So, you know, long passing quarterbacks aren't necessarily better at long passing. Will have higher bars, But the one thing about the rollout quarterback is they tend to throw less interceptions. This is according to him, is less interceptions because they're more likely to tuck the ball and run with it.
Okay.
So, if you look through, Vital in his youth used to scramble a lot. And he still scrambles some. I mean, he still scrambles 4 or 5 times a game for me.
So is he a rollout?
He's a rollout quarterback. And when I'm not trying to spam routes that he doesn't do well at, he doesn't throw interceptions.
Interesting. Okay, that was very helpful. Because we tend to, well, I can only speak for myself. I tend to think of football and think of how things are done in football, but it doesn't really translate into this game.
No, it absolutely does not. I think the first probably 9 months I played this game, the first 9 or 10 seasons, is I tried to design playbooks and set up teams based upon my knowledge as a football coach and how I would build a team, and the little routes, the combo routes where you run this route here to run the safety off, and this is the under route, and this is the over route, and this is how I would do it. And it didn't translate to the game. And then when I started to think of take Ben's advice and say, listen, there's no little guys playing football. It's based on bars and what and all that, and I started to base an offense accordingly, that I started to do a lot better.
Yeah, same. I think that was the difference between my season last year versus all my other seasons is, I listened to what Ben said as well. So if a receiver doesn't have high courage, then, he only gets screens and flats and 1s and 3s and 5s. If he does have high courage, I'll run him over the middle. I've got Osowski, who has 0 third down catch. I never throw the ball to him on third down. I only throw to him on first and second. So incorporating a lot of that for the first time last year really helped with winning more games and just being a better offense. And now it's just fixing the sense rush thing and adding more protection to my plays. I think is the next step for me. So yeah, I'm with you, Howie. It's all those little things are really what's important to getting the most out of your team, because you got to figure out how to get the most out of your players.
Yeah.
There's certain players that I kind of like you on I haven't done this on defense yet, but I do a lot of that on offense, where there's certain players that I plug into certain formations, and those are the only formations that they get, because I'm trying to figure out how to get them the ball given what they're good at. So that's been a big help. And I think it's a benefit to have guys like Ben, guys like Tizak, that will share those little nuggets. Because if you apply those, it adds a lot to your success in the game.
Yeah.
And it's not intuitive from a real football point of view. So yeah.
And
but I'm not even a year into the game yet. I'm 10 months in, so I still have a whole lot to learn about it. And I started out. I think for me, I feel like I've made a lot of progress, because I started out never rexing anything. I started out with trying to figure out, okay, how can I put together a game plan? How can I do my own custom plays? What's going to work for me? And it finally started to gel.
Yeah.
But like I said, I still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
I haven't really figured anything out. I've just gotten a little better.
Are you doing your testing in single play, or is most of your testing in online?
I do some testing in single play, but it's more in terms of getting my game plan to give me the ratios and the splits that I want. How can I get a game plan that gives me 60% short passes, 35%, medium passes, and so on and so forth. How can I get a game plan that gets me, 50, 60% runs a game? That's more of what I'm trying to do in single player.
But that's the beauty of this game, is trying to figure out all the ins and outs, and getting to that place where Ben and T-Zac and other good GMs are at. And but learning it by hearing other people tell you some ideas, and then also digging into the game and figuring it out.
Howie, are you doing any single player lab work?
No, I don't have when COVID really was hitting and I had a lot of spare time, I would. But I think over the last 4 or 5 months, I haven't even touched a single player except to start. I go into work on playbooks. I really kind of use single player to really try to learn how to game plan, so I could put in those multi-receiver sets that you're only allowed to run 6 plays, a few plays on, to try to maximize them in my game plan. Because looking at how everybody else plays, they'll spam the 113 sets. They'll run a few 1-2-2 sets and some 2-1-2s, and they'll run one play here, one play there out of it. And I figured you have the option to have all of these sets. I want to run all of them. I want to run 6 plays out of the 005. I want to run 12 plays out of the 014 sets and 6 plays out of everything else. So I use the single player to try to figure out, okay, where can I put how can I set this up so that I'm going to avoid my familiars.
Yeah. So you're looking for, where's the threshold for familiars? How can I maximize, these formations in terms of number of plays? Got it.
And I'll be honest, for the first 6 or 7 months of me playing the game, I would Rex my defense like every single week. Like, I really did not understand the defensive side of the football. So I would just go into the defensive lineups, and I would just hit, recommend and go with the recommended defensive lineup. And then I would go in and I'd, get an idea of what I wanted to run for sets, but I would just hit, generate game plan. And if I looked at it and say, no, I don't want to press that much, I'd hit generate game plan again, and until I got a breakdown of something that I would like. And then I went with that, and it worked. I mean, my defense has always been, top 15, top 10, but it hasn't been till recently when I really, kind of understand the bars a little bit more, and understand what makes a good safety in my defensive scheme, what makes a good linebacker in my defensive scheme.
I'm still learning about defense, but I figured out for me what sort of works. I have a long ways to go, but I tend to look at which is different from, real football. I tend to look at linebackers differently, and I look at them more as more for pass coverage than run defense, which again worked for me great last year, but this season my run defense went way down. And I'm thinking that could be the reason.
I want to make sure that I've got 7 guys that can stop running, that can stop the football.
Especially if you're playing Oakland.
Yeah.
However, Haynes, I do the same thing. I like my linebackers to be able to cover on the pass. I do. But we try to get as many bars as we can to do both. But if I had to choose between the two, I would go with pass. For me.
Go to Steele. Go pull up my team. We'll just kind of talk about.
Go ahead.
So go down to my linebackers.
Okay. Who do you want me to
Click
pull
on
up?
Byron. Click on Byron Office.
Got him.
So he's a perennial Pro Bowler. Like if you go through and you look at I think he's been to 7 Pro Bowls, 6 Pro Bowls in his 8 seasons. So I know they don't have Pro Bowls here, but when Ben Pro Bowls them, I mean, in my mind, right there, that is the prototypical middle linebacker. He's a guy that run stopping, man-to-man defense, who can play a little bit of zone. I don't look at a bump and run bar on my linebackers at all.
Yeah.
Like I could care less. But to me, that's the prototypical linebacker. And he's had so much success. He's constantly getting interceptions. And if you go back through and you look, if you go to the
he's got 3 interceptions already this year. He's 79 for his pass defense. 11 of 41 on deflection.
So let's see here. IHOF. Oh, I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Take your time.
Pulling up the website. Roster.
Pull up my linebacker, Steel Stone.
Okay, hold on. Who would you like?
Riley Stanton.
Riley Stanton. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Now, this guy's a beast.
Yes, he is.
Oh, he is a beast. I'll tell you what. I game planned specifically to stay away from him. I wasn't going to run to him. I wasn't going to throw to him. Nothing was going over the middle. Everything was going to go to your strong side linebacker or your weak side linebacker.
He, I lucked out on him. I got him in a trade from Mech in Arizona. He wanted my cornerback, and he's like, I'll give you this guy. I said, okay, great. But he can do everything.
Yeah.
And last season he got more interceptions than anybody on my team.
Yeah. 6
than my cornerbacks.
6. What happened to him this year? Something happened. He had,
exactly. What happened? I haven't done anything differently. Same defensive style, same defensive game plan.
And some of that too could be offensive game plan, like me. Like I wasn't going to throw a ball anywhere in the middle of the field. So
yeah.
And you look at the game log sometimes, and things don't make sense. Like, okay, why is there a defensive end that's intercepting a screen? Why is the right defensive end intercepting a screen pass that was thrown to the S receiver on the opposite side of the field? Like it goes to numbers. The nature of the program a little bit.
And part of it too is I think like you, I think teams are game planning for me now. Yeah. I used to fly under the radar. Nobody expected anything from Outer Banks.
Right.
So
hey, go back to my linebacker, Steele. We'll kind of just go through my
hold on.
My linebacker, my secondary core or secondary squad.
Which linebacker you want me to bring up next?
So Byron Office, I play him. He's always in on my 2-1-2 sets, and he's always in on my the 1-1-3 sets, or the two receiver sets and the 3 receiver sets. But then you look at Everett Burke, and get this guy pulled up. He is a guy that, based on who I'm playing, I'll move him around. He's played a little bit of DN for me when I was banged up on DN. He will play in the 4 and 5 receiver sets when I want to blitz out of the middle linebacker spot. I'll put him in there. I'll put him in the goal line set. So he's one of those guys that I bounce over. He's a role player, and he does his job fantastic for what I want him to do. And then go down to my weak side linebacker, Perry Mcneil. He's a guy that he'll bounce around based on passing sets. So he'll never see the field on rundowns. He'll never see the field if a team runs the ball 27 times out of the 1-1-3 set. He won't be in there unless they pass the ball 60 times out of it. I'll put him where I want to, and I'll put somebody else in. So I really, really get in and game plan based upon, or not game plan. So what's the word I'm looking for here? Personnel. I will personnel based upon who I'm playing, and I don't think most players who play this game really get into that fine detail where they'll go in and they're going to change out a weak side linebacker for a different weak side linebacker because the bars are different.
I like that.
I
like
really.
that.
That sets you apart from certainly from the other GMs, and I think for a lot of us, I think it's for a guy like me, I should say, there's three things. One is I don't have a whole lot of experience doing it. Two, how much time do you have to game plan? Every day, every week in game time, and then
But
I guess it's those two things.
It brings you
Time
more. It brings you more into the game. You feel more involved, more engaged by going to those details and taking somebody out and saying X, Y, and Z. I do something similar where I want guys who can cover tight ends coming out of the field, off the line. So my linebackers up, I like guys with man-to-man. So I'll put this guy in for man-to-man. And then, where's my other guy? Henderson. I just got him last year. I had another player who had better bars, and I looked for them to be higher on man-to-man and bump and run. And he was, I think, at 80-something on pass defense because he would just cover the tight ends. So I try to game plan that way. Your way, Howie, you're even more in-depth, which I like what you're doing because it brings you more involved into the game.
I mean, who's gonna march out linebackers in your nickel back and your dime back in multi-receiver sets and play press one coverage in it? Like, that's what I did. I played press one buzz with 3 linebackers and 5 receiver sets. It's like, hey,
yeah, that's out there.
If you're gonna beat me, it's because all of a sudden you've decided that you're not gonna run the ball out of these sets and you're gonna throw the ball. It goes back to that chess game.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not going to be able to make any in-game adjustments. So,
right. It's and that's the one thing that I really enjoy about playing the GMs that are active and export every single day is you feel like there is a chess match there.
Yeah, definitely.
Teams like Hanley, Mouthpaw does a great job drafting, and at one point he had we called him Megabot. But you can his offensive game plan doesn't change, his defensive game plan doesn't change, and you can get a good idea of what he's going to do and just say, okay, this is what he's done in the past, and this is what I'm going to do. But against other teams, okay, are they going to come out and throw the ball in this set, or are they going to come out and run the ball in this set? The chess match is what I appreciate most.
Yes, agree. That's why I like seeing teams that weren't good that rise to the top because they put a team together, piece by piece. Good players, good quarterback, good receivers, good defensive plays, their game plan that goes along with it. And then you see the rotation happening. It's not always one group that's always at the top. I like to see a mixture.
Like Todd Sanders. Go down to my linebacker, Todd Sanders. He's going to be my nickelback this week against Frederick because I'm so banged up. But, because if you look at all of my defensive backs, they all have a particular bar or 2 bars that they're really, really good at, but their stamina is 0.
Okay, defensive backs. Hold on.
So Rex he's done. He's not playing. But Bernie Downs, 35. I can put him in for 2. If he's going to be a third down back for me, I can put him in the 3 receiver third down package, and I can put him in the 4-5 receiver package, and that's it. Anything other than that, and he gives me you do the analysis, and it's some cause for concern. Same thing with Woody. His endurance is 0. His endurance is low.
Woody, let me get him up.
Nathaniel Woodychick. I mean, he has got a great zone bar, but his endurance is shit. So same thing. I can play him in 2 to 3 sets max.
Interesting.
So this is the one thing that I knew was had a chance to bite me in the ass, is if I started to get nicked up in the secondary, I would struggle. So for the not the third downs, but for regular 3 receiver sets, I am starting Todd Sanders as my nickelback, and we're playing a lot of man-to-man.
I think you're set up pretty well though, Howie. I mean, you've clinched the division. So
exactly.
So by the time the playoffs roll around, everybody on your team will be healthy. I mean, granted, you could get more injuries, but what are the odds? But I think you're pretty well.
And then
set
it's
up.
just the question is do I want to? I mean, I'm not going to try. I would obviously love to have a bye and to give some people, because I think AJ. I just have this feeling that as the injury goes along, AJ Oaks is going to go from 6 weeks to stay at 6 weeks to stay at 6 weeks into the playoffs. I've seen that happen on injuries where it'll tell you, he's out for 6 weeks, but then the time frame never changes. So the next week comes around and he's still out for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Haynes is right. Since you clinched, it helped a lot. You're not fighting to the end that you needed these games. And so you allow those guys who are 4 weeks.
If we were in this, if this division was the same as your division, I mean, I'm looking at my schedule going down with that injury, and if I can win 2 games out of this stretch, not playing those guys, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So
that'll be a big plus if you can.
So who do you? Okay, so you have Wolf tomorrow. It's gonna be, since you told us about this thing, I'm not going to post, by the way, this recording of this one that we're talking about, because I don't want Wolf to change his game plan. I'll post it after the game.
So,
I'm excited. I love playing in this league. I got to tell you, win or lose, I still love it.
Yeah. I mean, we're all competitive guys. We obviously love football. Obviously love the game. It's a lot of fun, win or lose. Like you said, Steelstone. I'm having a disappointing season. I'm not winning, but I'm still having fun.
And the fun part is also when you pick up a player in the draft and they really take off on your team. That's a nice feeling as well.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. I got to go to bed. I got to work early in the morning.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.